Kevin, we can't hear you. Are you good to go? You're good to go.
Oh, there's Ed.
Wow, high-profile people here tonight.
She's here.
No, I can't believe it. I really
Except you didn't wear a jacket and tie.
It's a pretty bold shirt he's got going. That's
Make a statement.
Sorry. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please rise if you're able and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for coming, everyone. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Certainly. Supervisor Moore,
Present.
Councilwoman McNamara,
Present.
Councilman Iacilli,
Present.
Councilman Pell,
Present.
Councilman Scavone.
Present.
Thank you. We're going to start the meeting today with a special event. I would like to let everyone know today marks an historic moment in the governance of Southampton. Since 1686, the trustees of the freeholders and commonalty of the town of Southampton have played a crucial role in managing and protecting one of our most valuable resources, our waters. As the oldest continually elected board in North America, the trustees have been at the forefront of ensuring the pristine quality of our waterways, a responsibility that has only grown more critical over time. Today, we are proud to announce a groundbreaking agreement between the town board and the trustees. This agreement not only reinforces the town's commitment to our waters, but also provides the trustees with the ability to independently manage their budget moving forward. This financial autonomy will empower them to meet the growing challenges of protecting and preserving our marine and water resources. This milestone is a testament to the collaboration and shared vision we hold for the future of Southampton. Together, we are setting a solid foundation to ensure our waters remain a source of life and beauty for generations to come. And I'd like to thank Assemblyman Thiel, Senator Palumbo, my fellow board members, President Horowitz, and the trustees.
At this time, I would like to invite Scott, the president, Fred Thiel, and Senator Paul, come on up.
No, I don't think so.
Come right up around here.
Oh, they do? Okay, never mind.
Yes.
VIP.
Be careful, they might not let you leave.
You guys are all part of this.
We should have a special pen.
Ladies first.
All right.
Wait, make sure you spell it right. Scott. We don't have all day.
No comments on my phone.
Stop shaking.
Are we okay for a picture,
Been a long
Colleen?
time.
Should we cluster in?
Yeah, congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you. I came in at the tail end. You know what I mean? This is hard work for you.
I came on the tail on this side.
I've only been there for 4 years.
Want one more picture? Yeah.
Get in here, Jim.
right.
Thank you all.
Congratulations.
Thanks for having us.
I would like
Would you
to say,
like to say a few
I would like to
words?
say a few words if that's
Maybe.
okay. Want me to go over there? Yeah.
Or,
Would you like me to go over there? I would just like to say a few words. I just want to say a few words.
After they're done, just keep there.
oh, yeah, don't remind me.
I'd like to invite my board to come up.
Hey, Scott, if you get done speaking, we'd like to take a picture of both boards
With
together,
all
please.
the
I'd like to
trustees,
invite my
yeah.
board. I'd like to say thank you, first and foremost, to Fred Field, Son Fred Field. It's been a decade of the Times political football, but we were able to get this in Anthony Palumbo. I want to thank you very much for getting this through the legislature and to the governor for signing this. I want to thank the town board for the vision, and your words were spot on, and I thank you for that. And I want to thank my current trustee board, and I want to thank the trustee boards prior that also helped carry us to this day, because it's been a long time coming. I want to thank the comptroller's office of the town, and we had our own comptroller. I want to thank the town attorney's office as well, and we had special counsel here. Joseph Lombardo's here. We had other special counsel to guide us. I think this was a process of really good government, you know, a collaboration of all of these different levels of government coming together for the greater good. It was a very delicate yet complex maneuver. Got a lot of captains up here, you know, navigating through uncharted waters with a need to get this board to safe harbor. Okay, that's what we did. The board weathered many storms over the centuries and even over the past decade that I've served here. And our experience clearly kept us striving for success regardless of how difficult it got. And everybody knows there was a lot of spirited debate, but you have to be fair and honest. There was also a lot of pizza and a lot of cake and cookies. And it was really good. I want to thank the public for their patience as well. It was a constant education process. After hundreds of years of this board struggling to provide what's so important for our quality of life, our economic engine to our town and the maritime heritage, we finally have this agreement and the tools and the stability and the transparency that we need to build on this framework of our town, this foundation for what I know will be a brighter future for the environment of our community and for the generations to come. And I just want to say it's a pleasure serving with you all. I'm proud to represent the freeholds and commonality of the town. Just want to shake all my board members' hands and say thank you very much. Edward, Joseph, pictures again? Is that what you want to do?
And thank you,
Thank you
Scott.
for bearing with me.
The person that isn't here today, I don't see, past president and past trustee Eric Schultz. He was the driving mechanism behind this whole tax line and the multiple iterations. And as Fred Bill will attest, there was some moments when Eric and I met with you that, you know, were kind of testy and very, you know, hard to, you know, digest. But I want to personally thank you.
That was incredibly diplomatic.
Well, I heard about those meetings. And Senator Bluntwell, and also, you know, Kenny LaValle, he was started it. And, you know, over the time, you know, the trustee board would be in good graces with the town board, and then the town board would get election cycle, and then there was friction. So I feel by this legislation, the way it was written, and the way I hope it's going to work, that the friction and the politics are going to get put aside, and that we could, we all have the same constituents in our town. So it's important for all of us to take the constituents first, not our pride and our elected positions. It's the constituents. So I want to thank you guys.
And I just want to say, like, maybe if you started with the pizza and cake years ago, you'd have gotten further.
It would have happened a lot
right.
quicker, right?
Probably right, but I think with the mutual respect of both boards, I think it will work out very smooth, you know, about as smooth as a gravy sandwich, so I think it'll be fine. So thank you very much.
We'll come around.
Yeah, we'll come.
Big Ned.
front, but I'll stand next to you. You want to stand here? You get flanked by the lady. We should flip it. We get flanked.
Sorry, we did one. I thought maybe you wanted just because of the two boards. He said not running for re-election.
One more. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks. Yes. Our work here is.
Well, no, we could keep it for a few more things.
Oh. No, you don't. We've all been there.
Carry on.
I can't believe it.
We lost one.
Maybe we should make up two, one for our office and one for your office. I like the side by side.
Yes. That's a good idea. I get complimented.
Yeah.
I even reminded him.
What's he doing?
See.
I think he went to the
I have a jacket in the back of my car. I always take pictures.
I just have one more thing to say about this subject. We're to give this to the town clerk Sunday because so she have safekeeping.
For safekeeping.
And
That's what
put
I
it
do
right down
best.
with the pen. Pass this down, please.
Add it to the archives.
Ooh. With the Dongan patent.
Another piece of paper you want.
Don't worry, I'll take good care of it.
Thank you,
Yes.
Kramer. Kramer's here.
All right, I'd like to continue with the meeting. I move to accept the minutes from the town board meeting of September 19th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move to accept the minutes of the town board meeting of September 24th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I move to approve and accept the minutes of the special town board meeting of October 1st, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Madam Clerk, would you please read the communications?
Certainly. The following communications have been received in the office of the town clerk. We have received public notices from the New York Department of Public Service, notice of informational sessions and public statement hearings concerning PSEG Long Island. On October 9th, Village of North Haven, notice of adoption. Village of West Hampton Beach, Planning Board application, 97 Hazelwood Avenue. New York State liquor license, 30-day advance notice to local municipalities for a new application at 1 West Main Street, Hampton Bays. Town Fire Districts 2025, budget hearing dates and times for Bridgehampton, East Quogue, Eastport, Flanders, Hampton Bays, North Sea Fire District, Riverhead, Southampton, and West Hampton Beach. The times are listed. 2025 proposed fire district budgets for the same entities, and correspondence, emails, and letters regarding the following. Elite Towers LP letter of interest for 62 Red Creek Road, Hampton Bays. Community Housing Fund acquisition of 99 Montauk Highway, Watermill. Ellis Squires House, Hampton Bays. Hampton Bays Pattern Book Update. And Shinnecock Nations Westwood Gas Station, Hampton Bays. The following report was filed by the Town Comptroller for September 2024 monthly financial reports. And that concludes the communications for this meeting's agenda.
Thank you, Cindy. I have one walk-on, and that is the Town Board Resolution ID number 47703, which is the warrant number 19. To add to the agenda, I move to add it to the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Madam Clerk, would you please read the notice for the first public hearing?
Certainly. Public hearing number 1, to consider the acquisition of 6C Squires Pond Road in the hamlet of Hampton Bays and amend CPF project plan and CPF management and stewardship plan to include the property.
Good afternoon, Madam Supervisor, Town Council members. I am here before you today for the first public hearing, which is 6C Squires Pond Road. So this is a property that CPF has been considering for quite some time, working with the Moeller family. So I just wanted to say a thank you to the Moeller family as well. You should have also received a letter dated October 3rd from the Moeller family that was circulated. So I just wanted to make you aware of that, and if you haven't received that, it came from Thomas Moeller, the son of Barbara Moeller. But obviously, you know, lots of town officials were familiar with Henry and Barbara Moeller with historic preservation and preservation within the town. So I just wanted to say that we're very thankful to be working with their family. So the property here is this property right here. So highlighted in yellow, this is a 1.5 acre piece of land at 6C Squires Pond Road. It is formerly Suffolk County Tax Number 900-175-135.1. So Barbara Moeller is the purported owner of this property and has expressed an interest in selling it for $2 million. It also nicely complements the property we recently acquired, which is 4 Red Creek Road, which is right directly next to it. It also complements the CPF holdings surrounding the L. Squires house as well as L. Squire, so I'll point to that now. So this is also to be added into the CPF management plan. So in this area, we have a target area considered in category as open space greenbelt, Squires Pond target area. So we are also asking that this be the plan be amended to include that property under that designation. This has very, extensive wetlands and shorefront on Squires Pond. So this is, a special pickup ecologically, as well as to work with the family who has such a long-lasting legacy in the Hampton Bays area.
And if I could just say, Henry Moeller was the first town historian that I had the pleasure of working with and was instrumental in getting me started on the digitization of all of our town record books that are now up online. And he was wonderful, and he loved this town, he loved the history of this town, and he protected it like no other, I have to say. And we miss him very much.
Agreed. And if you guys haven't received that letter too, I'll forward that letter, because the sentiments of their community engagement and historic preservation as well as preservation is well put in this letter from their son Thomas. So I'd be happy to circulate that to you guys again.
Before he passed, I had several conversations with Mr. Muller on his property down there, and he expressed his desire to have his property go to the town in some way, shape, or form. It's absolutely gorgeous down there, and it's a nice piece to add on to contiguous pieces that we have next to it. So I'm happy that his wishes are being fulfilled, and it's working out for the people of the town and the people of Hampton Bays.
What's the strip dividing the two pieces?
I think it's actually either the old stream bed that kind of was the dividing lines between the properties. It doesn't obviously exactly follow that, but this is actually like an old filed map, this portion here.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was the boundary that kind of followed, like, the geographic mapped area, but there's a nice little freshwater stream that comes into Squires Pond right there. So I believe that's probably why it was mapped, and that was kind of the designating boundary, was that stream.
Okay, well, thank you. I don't have a card on this.
Not signed. May I speak on this?
Oh, he's counsel for the Moeller
sure.
family. This is Mike Sinlinsky.
Which one?
Good afternoon, members of the board. Michael Sinlinsky, 860 Montauk Highway, Watermill, New York. It's pretty appropriate that the day that the trustees sign something historic in front of this board, the days we're discussing Mr. Moeller's property, and I will go back to when I first started as an assistant town attorney in the town. I was helping the somewhat new town clerk at the time with something, and was scolded vigorously by Mr. Mueller about how I handled a certain document in the town's archives, and well so. And I learned a tremendous amount from him at the time, and the changes that were made during his course as a town historian were, super vital. And when Councilman Pell handed handed the document today to Ms. Schermeyer, it even raised that even more. So this is a beautiful part of the Red Creek area, and it will serve the town well for generations, just like the Mueller family did. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin, is there anyone on Zoom who'd like to be heard? Okay, well, if no one has any other questions for Jackie, then I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Madam Clerk, would you please read the notice for the second public hearing?
Certainly. Public hearing number 2, to consider the acquisition of 27 Tiana Circle in the hamlet of Hampton Bays and amend the CPF project plan and CPF management stewardship plan to include the property.
Good afternoon again, Madam Supervisor, Town Council members. So this is the second public hearing we have. This is another special piece in Hampton Bays. So sorry, it's this one right here, directly to my right. So this is owned by Joan Chota and Vera P. Chota. They're the purported owners of this 0.7 acre property, formerly known as Suffolk County Tax Number 900-345-2-7.1. So they have expressed interest in selling this property in the amount of $600,000. This property is in the community preservation plan as a wetland target area. So this contains valuable shoreline along Tiana Bay and Shinnecock Bay West, and is going to preserve valuable shoreline habitat and ecological features. So this is really an impressive site. I do recommend if you get a chance to go over there. It's really impeccable, especially at sunset. But it also just provides such ecological and habitat resources here for songbirds as well as marine life. It's a good piece to pick up, and we will also be adding this to the management and stewardship plan, so we can manage and properly steward this property from here on out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I don't believe there's a card for this public hearing. Kevin, is there anyone on Zoom that would like to be heard at this public hearing? Okay. Well, if no one has any other questions for Jackie, then I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Madam Clerk, would you please read the notice for the third and final public hearing?
Public hearing number 3, to consider the acquisition of land at 65 Old Riverhead Road in the hamlet of Hampton Bays and amend the CPF project plan and the CPF management stewardship plan to include the property.
Good afternoon again. Jackie Fenlon, CPF Director. This is another actually very special piece. So this is being added to our category of historic places. This is due to the relation of David Berluk, who is a famous artist of futurism, Russian futurism. And so this is currently owned by Mary B. Holt, relative to David Berluk. And this is a 1 acre parcel located at 65 Old Riverhead Road in Hampton Bays, formerly known as 226-2-2.5. So Mary B. Holt has expressed an interest in selling the property for $790,000. And I just wanted to, give a little justice to the former resident of the home and the Berluk family. So this is the former home and studio of David Berluk, who is an acclaimed Ukrainian painter. He was known for his involvement with Russian futurism during the 1910s, and then fled to the United States with his family in 1917. So later he settled in Hampton Bays in the early 1940s, so that's when he came to this location at this address. So he continued to paint and was inspired by the natural surroundings of Hampton Bays. He also exhibited his works locally, created an artist colony with fellow painters in the hamlet known as the Hampton Bays Arts Group. So his collections are in museums throughout the world, including just a couple which I'll allude to, which is MoMA and the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City. So these, this is a place where it's, of historic relevance is directly related to the person who has once lived here and the family that currently owns it. So he was, he contributed to local and cultural landscape, and it's, a very important opportunity, especially for the Hampton Bays community, to preserve this property for that historic resource.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I noticed that Julie Green is here, our town
I
historian.
was just going to introduce her. Yeah.
I just wanted to ask before, will there be a stewardship agreement?
Yeah, so what's really nice with this one is that we reached out early on, and thanks to the Hampton Bays Historical Society for also making the connection. Hi, Wendy. But the East End Arts Council is our steward that we've been speaking to, so they're very excited about the opportunity. So after I think we hear from Julie Green, our town historian, I'd like to welcome Wendy Weissup, who's the director of the East End Arts Council.
And also, I did not realize that my friend Ian is the grandson. He's very, very talented too. Maybe he would like to say something about his grandson.
Absolutely. Well, it's a public hearing, so I'd love to hear from the family members as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so we also have Greg Giboli, sorry if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but we've been negotiating with him for the property. So I'm sure the family would like to come up, and we're happy to accomplish this.
Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Supervisor, Town Council, Julie Green, Town Historian. So this is a wonderful property, and I kind of want to just speak to the localness of it. He's a renowned artist, as Jackie mentioned. He's in countless museums throughout the world, the MoMA, the Met. I wrote on this historic report that it's a draft. I've been talking with the Metropolitan Museum of Art. They have a few of his paintings that he did here in Hampton Bays are actually called named in Hampton Bays in 1945 and Hampton Bays in 1944, I believe. And they're photographing the works of art for me so that we can have copies of what those they're online, but they're just tiny little thumbnails. So when the Burliaks came here in 1940. David Burliak set up kind of an artist colony here in Hampton Bays. They were very local, they were very community minded. Their two sons actually served in World War II out of Hampton Bays. They are on the wall at the VFW across the street on Ponquag Avenue. Their names are there. So they built an artist colony with other fellow immigrants from Eastern Europe. And this home and this property is where that was kind of their clubhouse. So David Burliak enclosed the front porch and turned that into his art studio. There are pictures of his studio. Sorry, I didn't number the pages, but they're in the back. You'll see some paintings. So I included a lot of his early paintings from the teens when he was living in Russia. The family fled during the Bolshevik Revolution in 1917. They made their way through Siberia. Then they landed in Japan in the 1920s. The Japanese council wanted them to stay. They wanted him to be the court painter in Japan, but his goal was to get to America. So he finally landed here in America in 1923. He was made a United States citizen in 1930, and he's got many awards posthumously after 1967 when he did pass away right here in Hampton Bays. So you can see some of his artwork that I included and his family photographs. And one really nice thing is when they first came in the 1940s, one of the first places after the war where they set up exhibits was at the Parish Hall of St. Mary's Episcopal Church on Ponquag Avenue in Hampton Bays. So they had numerous exhibits. I found a clipping for their second annual, so I think they had at least 8 annual exhibits there at Hampton Bays. They set up an art school. His younger son, Nicholas, was an artist as well, and he set up an art school in the 40s after they came back from the war. And his work is brilliant. He kind of runs the entire gamut of early 20th century painting and artwork. It's pretty kind of really interesting. And one of the paintings that's in the Metropolitan Museum of Art was painted in front of the Canoe Place when he's looking out over Shinnecock Bay, and I'd love to get an idea of what that painting looks like from 1940s, because it would be really interesting. It says that Hercules was to the side. This was the big statue that was given to Stony Brook that we no longer have. So I'd really like to see a big blown up image of that. And one last little local connection for a town property that we own is the Liaison Hat Shop, which is also in Hampton Bays next to the Prosper King House. Those are two town-owned properties that are stewarded by the Hampton Bays Historical Society. Walter King was the milliner of the Liaison Hat Shop. His son, Myron King, moved to Tennessee. They wintered in Tennessee, and Myron King set up the Liaison Galleries in Tennessee, in Nashville. And in 1961, just 6 years before Mr. Burliuk passed away, they went to Tennessee and they held an exhibit sponsored by the Liaison Galleries. So there's a full circle connection with Hampton Bays, the Burliuks, even going all the way to Tennessee to see the King family there. So thank you very much, and I really look forward to working with the East End Arts Council and a possible stewardship of this property. It's well worth it.
Thank you, Julie, for providing that overview of the history. And I just want to say, I know how much work went into this between the arts advocates and CPF and the town historian. I know this has been sort of a long time coming, so I know there was a lot of work that went in. I also want to say this is a great testament to the lives and history of some of our Eastern European, Russian, and Ukrainian immigrants that live here in Southampton. There are quite a bit of folks who have history that goes back to Eastern Europe and Russian and Ukraine. So I think it's very timely given what's going on in the world.
Right.
So it's a really great effort.
Absolutely. It's a nice time, the period of time at this moment where everybody knows what Ukraine is, to know that this is, an artist from that homeland. Yeah. And I also wanted to say that, in some of the in East Hampton, there's like artist colonies that we all know about, but David Burliuk, he was exhibited at the Guild Hall with Pollock. I mean, they were all friends. They all hung out together. So it's nice to have this artist colony that nobody really knew about right here in Hampton Bays, in the town of Southampton, and that we can support this and keep his memory alive and his legacy here in Hampton Bays.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's exciting.
Wendy,
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for your considerations today. My name is Wendy Weiss. I live in Bridgehampton, 93 Corwith Road, which is where I'm the fourth generation in my home there. So becoming involved in this project is not only something that I think is really exciting for the East End Arts Council, but also it's kind of exciting for me, being somebody that's from here. And now that I am back home, looking to really preserve what we have here on the East End, it's very special. The East End Arts Council was formed in 1972. It's I've been there since 2020, where I actually joined the board, and I became appointed the executive director in this past July. So I went from being on the boards to being a part-time employee to growing into the creative director role to now being in the executive director role. I became involved with this discussion about the Burliuk House from the very beginning when we were first connected. And since I've been in the ED role, I've really just gotten so excited and so involved with it. East End Arts is really the only regional arts council here on the East End, and it got kind of pigeonholed into the Riverhead area for a very long time. And since I've been involved over the last 4 years, we've really expanded our reach. So we are now building this community that is well outside of Riverhead, including a lot of South Fork artists, a lot of North Fork artists. We actually have a lot of artists in our members circle that also are on permanent collection at the same places that Julie mentioned, and have really good connections with the Nassau County Museum of Art and other big institutions that believe in what we have to offer and will be very advantageous in pushing this project forward by taking stewardship. I'm most excited to work closely with the Burliuk family so that we can make sure that we are really putting that, like Julie said, putting this artist colony into a spotlight that people didn't know existed before because East Hampton got all of the attention, which we're kind of used to. But, and really showing what the Hampton Bays area, what the Southampton town area has in the history of the arts here. So I want to make sure that David's legacy is really uplifted and that future generations of artists out here on the East End are inspired and can learn from that history and can come together because of this project.
Is the studio intact now, or is that if not, is that something that would be recreated?
Yes, my understanding is that there will be some renovations necessary on the house. I have been there, of course. There is the house itself, and there are 3 outbuildings, which you can see in the map here. All of the outbuildings are actually, when I saw them, were full of art, and all of the art was in great shape. So I'm going to assume that they're in pretty good condition, all things considered. I think Greg will be able to answer more specifics about the property itself and the state that it currently is in. But it's very inhabitable at this time. It's just not modernized.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Wendy, I just want to also mention and publicly appreciate all the work that East End Arts does. You mentioned expanding beyond the current reach. I know you've been doing a lot of work with our Southampton Town Youth Bureau, and
yes.
I just want to just extend the town board's thanks to you and East End Arts for partnering with the Youth Bureau on all these wonderful functions, from Hampton's Got Talent to Battle of the Bands. All of that work is so greatly appreciated.
Oh, thank you for that. They've been a pleasure to work with. Anything that we can do to put kids in the spotlight is always something that really drives us forward. So thank you for them. Thanks to them for being a part of it as well.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Well, I do have 3 cards. The first one is Greg. Greg, how do you pronounce your last name?
It's Javak. It's a French Canadian.
Thank you.
All right, good afternoon, Madam Supervisors, Councilors, members of the public. My name is Greg Javug, and I'm Mary Berlug's stepson and her power of attorney. Mary is the owner of 65 Old Riverhead Road and David Berlug's granddaughter. I'd like just to take a moment to express the family's sincere gratitude to the town of Southampton for considering this property for preservation, and really the overwhelming local and international support for this project. Today is the culmination of years of effort by the family, some here today, including Ian Berlug, and those watching online, many Canadians. Watching over the house and protecting and promoting David's legacy. And more recently, the coming together of community partners, the CPF, Jackie, Julie, Dan, they've all been excellent to work with over the last year. East End Arts, starting with Diane Burke, now Wendy Weiss, and board members, and the Hampton Bays Historical Society, Brenda Sinclair. With your support, we look forward to working with the community to make the Berlug home a truly remarkable place where new artists can be inspired and grow, just as they did years ago under David's encouragement and friendship. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's worth knowing we did get letters from pretty much all over the world in support of this. So
Yes.
Yes, that was amazing. It really was.
even Japan.
Yep. Yeah, he's quite famous there actually. During his 2 years that he spent in Japan, he painted for the emperor and for many others. And his works are in a number of institutions. So, yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Ian Berliak.
My grandfather, David Berliuk, he excelled as an artist, but I think what he really excelled at was collaboration with other artists. At a young age, he joined the Blue Rider group, which included Kandinsky, Paul Klee, Gabrielle Munster, others. And that started the futurist movement in Russia, and it was in the very early stages of the futurism in Europe at the time. He ended up World War I came along, and he ended up traveling across Siberia during the Russian Revolution. Very similar to the trip that Dr. Zhivago took, if you've ever seen the movie where he went across. I mean, there was a war going on for years. He, as other people noted, moved to Japan for a few years. When he came to the U.S., he was kind of ahead of things. The U.S. really wasn't ready for futurist art at that time. But by the time the 30s came along, there was a growing art movement, and he befriended the people that many of them moved out to the Hamptons after he bought the place in Hampton Bays. Nikolai Sikovsky was out here, lived in North Sea. There was Milton Avery, George Constant, the Sawyer brothers. Other members that came out regularly from the city were John Graham and Arshile Gorky. Those artists, many of those artists I mentioned, have sold at auction for in excess of $50 million for a single piece of artwork. My grandfather, because he produced in his lifetime over 18,000 works, he doesn't command that kind of money, although he has sold pieces for over $1 million, or at least his pieces sell for that. In his lifetime, they didn't sell for that much. But he collaborated with those people that I mentioned who were in the Hampton art group there. John Graham was credited with mentoring Arshile Gorky, Jackson Pollock, Rothko, de Kooning. So all of those artists that you think of as the East Hampton artists, when they were getting started, they were collaborating with my grandfather and other members of that Hampton art group, which I think, as I say, the fact that he collaborated like that with so many people, that is really, I think, his biggest legacy. And I want to thank the East Hampton Arts Council and the CPF and the board for acquiring this property. I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing for the town. And the last thing I want to add is, living out here in the town, I'm always amazed at the number of people who come up to me and they find out I'm related to the artist, and they say, oh, you know, my parents bought a painting from him when he had the gallery on Squiretown Road, and, you know, is it worth anything, or we have this, or, oh, you know, we've got a Moses Sawyer, you know, what do you know about Moses Sawyer, or this or that. And there's such a connection in the town with so many people. He used to go to St. Rosalie's Church. There were times he'd go to, I guess, St. Anne's, the Presbyterian church down at the end of the street. He was always introducing himself. He was a self-promoter. And at the time when he was alive, you could go into the local drugstore or any one of the stores in town, and there were the postcards constantly. My grandmother had the postcards made with the different pictures on them, and you know, promoted the gallery, promoted the other artists in the group. He had the gallery on Squiretown Road there, and he, of course, he showed the other artists as well there and stuff. And I think it's a great thing. And as the last note, she was probably one of the best customers the Luzon Hat Shop ever had. She was constantly up there, and you know, she knew Myron King and Ray King, who was also up there, and the others. And there's a lot of connection with the town, and I think it's a great thing that the town is doing this. So thank you all. And I especially want to thank Greg for seeing this through and dealing with having the town acquire this. He could have said, well, let me just sell this quick, you know, the real estate's high, and it would have been a shame to have that happen. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Amy Paradise.
Amy Paradise. Hello. I just thought I'd add some local color. Across the street and down the way a little bit from the Berwood property lived James and Marie Edwards. Marie Zerny Edwards was a displaced Goche from, it's hard to describe it, it's kind of Croatia, Serbia, that area. It's all been redone now. They were friends with the Berluks. We have a Christmas card that Mr. Berluk made and sent, and they used to visit with each other. And they may possibly have inspired their daughter, who became in her. We have a great painting that she made of the farm. It backs up to what's now the Good Ground Park. The two houses are still there. The little one in front was made from chicken coops. That's where they lived at the end of their life. So it's just, it was fascinating to see this pop up, and yeah, real local connections. It's terrific that it's getting saved so quickly. How fast did you do this? Remember that thought.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kevin, is there anyone on Zoom who'd like to be heard? Does anybody else have any questions? All right, if there's nothing else, then I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that brings us to the public portion. Amy, you're up again.
Board,
yes.
Amy Paradise. I sent you all a letter. I drove by the Ellis Squires house. It has been vandalized. The windows are boarded up. $1 million was voted for its restoration last year. I was here at the meeting when that was done. Stop sitting on your hands and get the building taken care of. It deserves it. It's a national landmark. You're preserving all this property around Squires Pond, which came with that house originally, and they separated out 3 acres. I've been writing to the town now for, I think, 13 years about this property. When we first wrote, it was like, oh, it'll cost $300,000 to fix it up. Look where we are now. Please stop. You did the Methodist Point property like that. You've done the Berluke house like that. 13 years, 14, I forget when they took his property. And there it rots into the ground. It's a disgrace. The town of East Hampton has a farm museum. Riverhead has the Halleck House Farm. This is a circa 1800 building of a founding member of the community. I said we could illustrate our maritime history. We could illustrate the independent, self-reliant people that used to live here, and there it rots. Enough. Do something. There are people that work on old houses like that. I've got a neighbor, he's retired now. There's a fella here in town, Mr. Gaynor, does nothing but old houses. Maybe you could talk to some people. They are around. But it just gets ignored because I can't find 500 people to write in.
Well, I mean, we'll talk to our CPF director about it and find out what the status is and what's happening.
They put it in a preservation agreement for like 10 years. And there it sat. They did nothing. The people that they gave the stewardship agreement to. The town historian has told me that agreement has been rescinded. There is no reason that there's nothing getting done except inaction.
We'll look into it.
It was rescinded and we moved it over to the CPF. Is that correct? I mean,
yes.
You know, I was here, we did that,
Yeah.
and we earmarked money for it. So thank you
Yeah.
for coming up. We share your concern and did that.
I'm sorry, I'm really annoyed with that. We'll look into it. I'm annoyed.
I didn't say that. I said that
it
we
really is time
we
to
moved it into
do
CPF funds
something.
and
Thank you
earmarked
for
monies
bringing
for
it
it.
up again.
Yes,
That's what I said. Thank you.
You can speak during the public portion.
I lived upstate for a while, and when I first moved back down here in 1995, I had met the 2 elderly women who lived in that house. In fact, plowed their driveway a couple of times with snow. And I'd had an old house in upstate New York that was built in 1790, so I went inside and talked to them a bit. And it's a beautiful house, and to think that it's going to going to waste is a shame. So I'd like to encourage you to do all you can to fix that up.
Right. The previous steward was not doing exactly what's being asked here. So that's why we acted to move it over to the Community Preservation Fund. That does have the funding, and we do have funds earmarked for it. I appreciate you coming.
Okay, I just wanted to say that as somebody who's been in the house and seen it, and who knows old houses, it is an extraordinary piece of property. So thank you.
Thanks. All right, Ken Tetro.
Hi, Kim Tetro, Cornell Cooperative Extension. Excuse my appearance, I'm coming from my penultimate Tiana Tuesday workout where the town gave us one of the most outstanding oyster gardening annexes 15 years ago in this room. And it's a workout, but it's a great, great project. And while I'm standing up here, I thank Southampton for allowing the town to have a real flagship program for the SPAT program, which is going into my 25th year with Cornell on community oyster gardening. I'm here today to just lend support to Mauritius Bay project that was at a meeting recently, and I think there was a misunderstanding with their organization and our partnership with Cornell. I've been working with Mauritius Bay Project for 12 years in very similar things to what I do at Cornell, which is community restoration, shellfish, water quality, all the nice things that we want in our town. And Mauritius Bay has been a great partner and a wonderful addition to the mission of what we're trying to do in our collective towns. I'm just here to support the fact and open up to the board that I'm here for any kind of questions if they come up about Mauritius Bay. They are independent, they're their own 501c3, but we do have an excellent working relationship, and I think there was a misunderstanding with some members with it. Cornell Cooperative Extension's a big organization. Communication is often not fully understood. So I think this project caught a lot of folks off guard within the Marine program. But I'm here to just kind of put any fires that might be raging out there and lend my support.
Well, that's good to have that clarification.
Anytime that I can help clarify anything to do with community, shellfish, if you want to do a raw bar, we can cover a lot. And we've had, I have to say, with Cornell Cooperative Extension and the town of Southampton, we've had a wonderful, wonderful relationship, which is just growing. And the buzz is in the air about how important and where all these connections lie. So I'm here to help if you ever need anything on my end.
Thank you.
And you can even get your own uniform.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Well, you have to keep it on for 25 years before it's got all the proper holes and whatnot.
I'm sure it's like that.
I did dust the mud off, so I tried my best, but it came directly from there. I'm going back there with a truck and a trailer load full of all Southampton beautiful oysters. So. And we can have a member in the program.
10 years now.
She can vouch for us. Thank you.
Thanks for coming up and saying so.
And I know, Aram, you're here on the same matter.
Thank you, Madam Supervisor, members of the town board, Aram Terchuni in West Hampton Beach, on behalf of the Mauritius Bay Project. I mean, it's tough to follow Kim because he's just the real deal. He's helped us tremendously get our program from 10,000 oysters in year one to over 700,000 oysters in this past year. And with the assistance of the town board and the Rainer Fish Shack project, we hope to push that over 1 million. And that's pretty impressive. I have some materials I'd just like to hand up to the board that provide some clarification of the different budget items, which we have reduced, and also some roles of the various people within the program.
Thank you. Aram.
Yep.
Aram.
Oh, well, okay. Get them all.
Yes, thank you.
And clearly, if you have any questions, I'm here to answer those.
Thank you.
Thank you.
clever. Okay.
Oh, right. Okay, we're good. Gail Lombardi.
Thank you, Gail.
Board member, thank you so much for making the Okay, to be clear, I'm speaking on my own behalf. I don't know if Michael Wright's still here, but I'm speaking on my own behalf and not as a member of any association. I want to echo Amy Paradise's comments, though. You know, we had the same thing with the former chamber building. You know, you guys bought, and it was before your time, you bought it, and you let it deteriorate, and and there's another building on all the way up Squiretown Road. It is a pattern. And I just want to commend you all for moving forward, though, on buying that property, the historic property. I heard about the discussions back under the Anna Thorne Holtz period. So it sat in abeyance for 8 years during the Schneiderman administration, so kudos to this board on that. Not so much kudos on the pattern. Okay, so I've been entrusted, you know, I've come to this board for a number of years. It's been over 10 years, looking for you guys to just follow the law, comprehensive review and comprehensive planning. I do want to thank Supervisor Moore for having being so gracious, coming to the Civic Association meeting and have to listen to the frustrations of the residents about the town's handling the Westwoods, and as well as just general mistrust of the community still, and it's hard to get past it. But as I said, I really, you know, we've entrusted you to protect the residents' safety and well-being of our fragile environment that can be wiped out in a heartbeat, like what's going on in Florida. It makes me physically sick to see you guys have these great discussions about saving the history of Hampton Bays, and at the same time, out of the other side of your mouth, destroying it by succumbing to the overdevelopment in Hampton Bays. So I have never come to this board and say I want a toy store or a men's clothing store. I've come to this town board and asked you to follow the law, do comprehensive environmental review, and meet with the community, have real and interactive interaction with the community. We can't be expected to watch the work sessions. We don't get to ask questions. So I know that there's some new board members, but the process and planning is still broken. I mean, you appear to equate time lapsed with an accurate work product. As the saying goes, you can do things over and over again. You can't do things right the first time, so you have to do it over and over and over again and spend more time doing it, and I would equate that to the pattern book. I also think sometimes you weaponize time, that you hope that will go away. You drag it out long enough and you hope it will go away. You continue to set the town up for litigation and set the communities up for failure. And if you look at the BESS process, the Bel Air process, the Riverside redevelopment process, the Hampton Bays HBDOD, and now the Westwoods, you set up the town for litigation and you fail the communities. So specific to the pattern book, since I only have probably a half a minute left, I just want to say that the pattern book is not the book of pretty pictures that you have represented to the community. It sets the tone for high density residential development, and you will have created a legal quagmire now by interjecting Mr. Cayola's housing plan. Councilwoman McNamara is quoted in the Southampton Press this week about potentially being eligible for funding. You skipped it right over an unbiased addition to the comprehensive plan, and have created a legal quagmire that I guarantee will be litigated. I said right now my file is probably 2 feet high of all this legal quagmire that you may not agree is conflicts of interest and overlapping concerns and overlapping
30 seconds.
Initiatives, but it will at some point be litigated. I'm not sure the pattern book right now is right for litigation, but I'll check. I have 120 days to check that when you approve it at this board meeting without an environmental review.
But all of this year, all of the conflicts of interest, all of the letters to the editor, the agendas, comments by this board, comments made by the rezoning board of appeals, comments of former town council people members.
4 minutes.
Will be entered into evidence. So I hope it is what it is. You're going to approve it, but I'm hoping that you will hopefully do a better job in the future and, you know, not set the town up for litigation and set up our communities for failure. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail. And I just want to note that since the last meeting, we did make the 2 changes on page 4 and page 22 to remove the word road from Good Ground Park in those 2 locations, just so you're aware. Okay, next is Robert Tyson.
A lot of great things happened today. I really enjoyed today. I think that the independence, excuse me, I've gained weight since the last time I was here. The independence of the trustees, and that they have the ability now to, excuse me,
You're eating up your time.
yeah, that's okay. It's going to be brief anyway, okay? So I urge the board not to accept the pattern book. By the way, my name is Robert Tyson, Hampton Bays. I urge the board not to accept the existing edition of the pattern book for the following reasons, okay? On page 7, it says in the opening paragraph, you should also reference other applicable codes of the town of Southampton. Now the word other means being or designated the remaining one of 2 or more. That essentially means, and that sentence means, that this pattern book is and could be interpreted as code, okay? The word other should not be in there, okay? Don't shake your head, I know English, okay? On page 10, having been told by board members that Good Ground Park will not be connected by streets, it says on page 10, and I quote, at a minimum, it is recommended that a north-south connection is made from the Long Island Railroad Station to Montauk Highway and from Montauk Highway to Good Ground Park. On page 52, architectural styles. It lists 4 styles, that each of the 4 styles is already present in Hampton Bays and would be appropriate for future development. One of those is maritime mercantile. Following that line on page 66, where it describes maritime mercantile, it says, they range in size from only 1 store, 1 story, small shops of individual merchants, all the way to a 3- and 4-story tall buildings. That seems to indicate that if someone wanted to go with the design of maritime mercantile, that they could design a building of 3 and 4 stories.
30 seconds.
That's it on the patent book. I urge you to at least review it and make it what it is being advertised as what it is, as a architectural book, not a
3 minutes.
companion to the town code, okay? And in closing, I reviewed the September 30th BEPS meeting. I thought it was loaded with very interesting information. My one comment is that Supervisor Moore you were at a point in the meeting asking about if a 300-foot boundary would be adequate, and you were interrupted by a staff member and talked over and
4
been
minutes.
told that it was already all this work has been done, okay, and that we shouldn't bother looking at that anymore, okay? I think that you should be entitled to finish your thought and not have staff interrupt you. Thank you.
All right, Linda Wells.
Linda Wells, Hampton Bays, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you in person. I'm very happy to do it. I do also urge you to take all the time you need, even if it means taking a little more time, to really review the whole pattern book again, to be sure that there's nothing else in there that indicates that this is more than an architectural design guideline. Very important, because in the future, unintended consequences, you get things that if you don't take enough time to really study it, you might find that you don't like. The only other point I have is that the first thing I always look at when I'm looking at something that's happening in the town is the resolution or the ordinance, because that's an official record that you can always find online. And I find that in reviewing this one, that for the adoption of the pattern book, that it had a lot of language from the last corridor study that might not relate to architectural design. It does talk about a new North Main Street in your ordinance. And I think this ordinance can get where, or resolution can get where it needs to go ultimately without that language, which may cause some confusion about what this architectural design is all about. And to be honest with you, the paragraphs in there are a bit superfluous to the whole point. I'm not sure you need any of it, and you want to avoid confusion in the future, especially in an official document. So as much attention should be paid to the resolutions as to the documents that they're approving. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin, is there anyone on Zoom that wishes to be heard in public portion?
Yes, there is.
So I'll move this way.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Good afternoon to the board. My name is John Leonard. I am a resident and business owner in Hampton Bays, and I am the president of the Hampton Bays Alliance. I am here to speak about the board's adoption of the pattern book. I think that we've had a number of very productive hearings with regard to the pattern book. We all acknowledge that it is a aspirational document to be made an amendment to the comprehensive plan. We've removed all instances of what could be in a violation of the zoning code. And made sure that we've removed all zoning elements. I really don't think that this board needs to take any more time in order to review this document anymore. If there were any changes that anybody wanted to suggest, the time for that has long passed, as we've had, 3 hearings on this 100-page document. Also, for the purpose of assuaging some comments, many of the pictures have been removed from it. So, the time has come to pass this. There is great zeal for this these projects to move forward, for revitalization and redevelopment in Hampton Bays to happen. We had the Hampton Bays Alliance had a very well-attended, almost 150 people showed up at a meet and greet for Mr. Kayola and many of them discussed their interest in revitalization and redevelopment in concept. We have, for the purpose of these hearings, submitted 84 letters from business owners, residents, mostly residents, 74 residents, expressing their desire to move forward with the pattern book and that the town council should adopt it. And on Wednesday, we had a very well-attended, almost over 50 people in attendance to a open house with council members Iacilli and McNamara, where many people in the community of a very diverse group in terms of age, expressing their support to move forward. Most of the people's comments were, when can this all begin? So the pattern book is the first step in the process of revitalizing Hampton Bays. It's a wonderful project that will standardize what Hampton Bays historically would look like, and the
30 seconds.
Move forward with it. And I'd also like to point out, I want this board to very clearly understand what Ms. Lombardi said to you today. She has threatened you with litigation. And I think that needs, you need to take pause when you hear something like that. Without even having a potential development plan in front of her. She says that she has a huge stack of documents that are all going to become exhibits.
3 minutes.
Heed. This board needs to take heed and to steel itself. There are those in our community who would use such bullying tactics in order to stop things that they don't want to see happen. Do not let that happen to you. We put you in office for reasons. And those reasons are that we want you to make reasonable, rational judgments and to take action where necessary. And this is something that you should be taking action on. And I really don't think that this board should be, should cower to the likes of someone coming before you and threatening litigation when there's nothing even in front of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm just getting a clarification. Kevin, is there anyone else on Zoom that wishes to be heard?
That's it.
That's it. Okay. I'm sorry. What, did you want to hand something up? Sure. Please. All right. Well, if there's no other comments, then I move to close the public portion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Before we start with the resolutions, I believe, Michael, you wanted to...
Yeah, if I'd like to make a motion just to take Town Board Resolution 2024-1190 out of order so that our Highway Superintendent could get back to work.
Second.
Can you tell me what page you're on, please?
Yes, page 41.
Thank you.
I'll second that motion.
This is a town board. This is a resolution to notice a public hearing to consider amending Chapter 312 to authorize stop signs on Lumber Lane at the intersection of Maple Lane in Bridgehampton in order to create an all-way stop intersection. I know, Mr. Highway Superintendent, if you'd like to just come up and explain the process of how we got here. Yeah, I just want to make sure he explains it just for the public.
Charlie McCardle, Highway Superintendent.
1190.
So after numerous requests from residents of that area in Bridgehampton, we directed our in-house engineers to do a traffic study, and the result came out that there is the need for the stop signs on Lumber and Maple. So I hope the town board would support it. I don't think there's anyone here against it, so I appreciate your time. But I do want to say one thing, that as legislators, if you either don't do anything to bring a resolution forward, or even worse, you get asked to bring a resolution forward and you don't, try not to jump on as a co-sponsor to make like, now you're interested, because you weren't before. That goes not for this goes for every issue. Don't just jump on if you didn't do anything to get it here. Thank you.
Thanks, Charles.
Thank you. All right, thank you. What would we like to? What would we like to?
So, did you move
I'd like-
to take it out of order?
Yep.
Yes.
Can we make a motion?
Make a motion. You make a motion. I second it.
Okay.
That was taken out of order. Now we need to we need
Okay.
a motion to pass it.
Yeah. Can we
Yep.
do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you voted to take it out of order.
Correct. Can we make a motion?
So
to pass?
now read the town board resolution.
Town Board Resolution 2024-1190, notice of public hearing to consider amending Chapter 312 to authorize stop signs on Lumber Lane at the intersection of Maple Lane and Bridgehampton in order to create an all-way stop intersection.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
And
Thank you,
just for the
everybody.
clerk's edification, we were all in support of taking it out of order, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think we voted.
No.
But I did say aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-1154 to authorize the comptroller to pay S&P Global Ratings as it relates to the 2024 Town of Southampton's credit rating for its public improvement serial bonds.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-1155, co-sponsored with Councilwoman McNamara, authorized to purchase a excavator and skid steer from H.O. Penn Company, Inc., using NYS contract with Caterpillar, Inc.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-1156, co-sponsored by Council Members Scavone and Pell, to authorize the supervisor to execute a contract amendment with L.K. McLean Associates Engineering and Surveying, DPC, to provide professional services for Riverside Maritime Park, accessible kayak launch, and fishing pier in Riverside.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Town Board Resolution 1157 of 2024, co-sponsored with Councilmember Uselli, to authorize the supervisor to issue a satisfaction of a buyer benefit note and mortgage on a community benefit unit.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-1158, co-sponsored with Council Members Scavone and Iacilli, to authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with Nelson and Pope for professional services related to solar photovoltaic installation at Town Hall.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-1159, to authorize the rental of equipment from the Suffolk County contract for construction equipment and dredging services with H&L Contracting LLC.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-1160, to authorize the supervisor to execute a contract with Auctions International, Inc. for the sale of surplus equipment owned by the town.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-1161, co-sponsored with Council McHale, to authorize the supervisor to execute an agreement with PW Grosser Consulting, Inc. to provide engineering design services for potential landfill improvements for the North Sea landfill.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-1162, to authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with Johnson Controls Security Solutions for alarm system monitoring and maintenance at David Crohan Community Center located at 655 Flanders Road, Flanders, New York.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-1163, to authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with Johnson Controls Security Solutions for alarm system monitoring and maintenance at the Barkus House CPF office located at 24 West Montauk Highway, Hampton Bays.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 1164 of 2024, co-sponsored Councilmember Uselli, to authorize the supervisor to sign a no-cost contract extension for the Reeves Bay Catwalk and Barn Restoration with Chesterfield Associates Incorporated.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-1165, to authorize the supervisor to sign an agreement with Briscoe Protective LLC for the Schaffner House located at 1061 Bridgehampton, Sag Harbor Turnpike, New York.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-1166, to authorize the supervisor to sign an agreement with the Long Island Council on Alcoholism and Drug Dependence, Inc. to provide an employee assistance program and sexual harassment training.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 1167 of 2024, authorizing the supervisor to sign an amendment to the Youth Bureau contract for basketball clinics.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Town Board Resolution 1168 of 2024. This is to recall and amend Resolution 2024-886 to authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with Citizen Science Learning Incorporated to obtain weekly samples from freshwater bodies throughout the Adopt a Pond program to monitor harmful algal blooms and perform seasonal analysis for nitrogen and phosphorus compounds.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-1169. To recall and amend Town Board Resolution 2024-1006, authorized purchase of a drop deck tilt trailer from Fowler Trail Inc. using Sourcewell contract.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-1170, co-sponsored with Councilwoman McNamara. The 2024 notice to bidders for electronic waste removal, recycling, and disposal program.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-1171, co-sponsored with Councilman Scavone, to amend the 2024 adopted budget for Southampton Ambulance and West Hampton Ambulance.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-1172, to amend the 2024 budget for various departments.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-1173, to amend the 2024-2028 capital budget for Bridgehampton BECD and the Sagaponic BECD nourishment projects.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-1174, co-sponsored with Councilman Scavone, to amend the 2024-2028 capital budget for CPF Nathaniel Rogers House Project and the 2024 adopted budget for CPF Stewardship Program.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-1175, to reappoint Alan Piliero to the Board of Assessment Review.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-1176, to appoint David Glazer to the Planning Board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 1177 of 2024, a resolution extending the final report of findings and recommendations of the Traffic Mitigation and Safety Task Force to the Town Board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 1178 of 2024. This is a resolution of adoption amending Southampton Town Code Chapter 298 to amend Article 8 to authorize an exemption for the creation of new accessory dwelling units within the town. I'm going to choose to just table this. We're still waiting some additional information.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
To next meeting?
To the next meeting, yes.
Thank you.
All in favor of the...
Yeah.
He seconded it.
Yeah, I don't know if we have to, but all in favor?
Aye.
Get a motion in a second. Okay, Town Board Resolution 1179 of 2024. This is a resolution to adopt the amendment of Town Code 330-10B, Section 8, to correct what's typographical error, in the table of use regulation that relates to schools for intellectually disabled. I would like to withdraw this and then renotice it for a public hearing with the correct title. There are four, it's co-sponsored by the entire board, so we would all have to agree to that. But that's what I would like to do as lead sponsor.
I'm fine.
Everybody good?
Yeah,
Yes.
second.
Okay, so withdraw.
All in favor of doing that, yes.
Aye, and it stays in our code for another.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's necessary, but.
Well, we
you
would
know,
like to...
We did get advice from council that we should do it just to make sure.
Mm-hmm. It's not a typographical error, but we'll fix it. It's okay.
Okay, Town Board Resolution 2024-1180, co-sponsored by the entire board. Notice of adoption of the pattern book for Hampton Bays Hamlet Center as a component of the town comprehensive plan.
Second.
I want to say something about this. Just to reiterate that Janice, that change that I mentioned before, Good Ground Park Road would now be Good Ground Park. That's on page 4 and page 22. But in light of the comment that we received, I took another look at the language in the resolution, and I would like to adopt this today, but I would like to make one change to the second paragraph of the legislative intent. And that is where it does, in the second paragraph, it does reference that creation of a new North Main Street and access into Good Ground Park, and I don't think that we should affirmatively be stating that, so I'm requesting that we amend the resolution to eliminate after the word promotes.
I'm sorry, can you tell me which paragraph you're
Yeah,
in?
the second paragraph of the legislative intent, so it
Okay.
would read, the adopted strategic corridor plan promotes, and then go to a compact walkable environment, and then continue from there.
I'll second your motion.
Can I just make a point before we do that?
Yeah.
It says that the adopted strategic corridor plan promotes that, and it does. That's what was written in that corridor plan. That's not this plan.
Right, but I just don't see the point of reiterating it here in connection with adopting the pattern book. It's almost like
That's
you're,
in the joint.
reinforcing it. And that was the corridor study, but this is a whole new thing, and I just think people would be more comfortable.
Do
if
we
they
have
just
another
made that one
issue here where we
change.
can't change this because we had a public hearing and the legislative
You need
intent
to
is now
speak to the
changing?
attorney.
Hey, Jim.
Do we have to notice another public hearing to do that?
No, this is not.
It's the legislative intent.
Right, it's
not-
it's not in the title. That was the biggest issue with the attorneys in my office and myself about the other
Fine with
previous
it, I'm just
resolution, so.
Asking.
You need 5
Okay.
days notice of a change on the town board.
Why do you need a
Town
change?
board
It-
needs
I'm not sure.
It does
a memo from the town attorney's office, and the change has to be on the town board's desk for
No,
5 days, I believe.
And in the legislative
It's just
intent,
the
in that
legislative
pat-
intent.
Jim,
We're not-
if I could, in that particular paragraph, it does refer to, what the supervisor is saying, but then it goes on to say to develop an environment that's, that promotes walkability. And I
Right,
think
and I
that's
would like
clearly what we're trying to
Yeah.
do, is to
Right.
make a walkable environment with the park, connecting it with the rest of
That's
Hampton
what I
Bays.
would like to do, keep the
Yeah.
walkability portion, but take out the into Good Ground Park. It's because it makes it seem like the road is going into the
Well-
park. I don't think it's a big deal
To
to,
walk into the park. I think the question was cars going into the park, which that is valid.
Or path, make it a path for walking.
I'm concerned that if we do change the legislative intent.
It's
and
gonna
on
be
the
used as
floor-
fodder to sue us.
You're right, and
We've already been, we were just threatened with a lawsuit, and now we're talking about changing the legislative intent and adopt a resolution. I think it's fine, because I think as it's written, it denotes that it's from that other plan. It's not this plan is not saying, you know what I mean? It says the strategic corridor plan promotes the creation of a new, which is stated in that plan, not this one.
got it.
promote a compact.
I know, I just don't wanna.
I know,
walkable
I'm
environment.
just saying that, why are we reiterating that here when that's not the intent of the pattern book?
And if this was.
And we went out of our way to take out all those photographs, so it wouldn't indicate that we were having a road go into the park.
And I agree with you, and any other circumstance, I would say yes, had we not been threatened with litigation 5 minutes ago.
I almost feel like it's more litigation that would come if we didn't take it out.
Yeah,
would like to
I
hear
mean, I don't think,
From the attorney.
the litigation was, you're talking about the patent book itself. As the supervisor points out, it's just in the legislative intent. I don't think it's, it's not a substantial change. I understand the reference, and I know that's a point of contention for a lot of people, whether that there'll be a road from this proposed development to the Good Ground Park.
Is there?
The safest thing, though, would be to leave it as is. Being what we were just threatened with. And
We're
somebody is
just talking,
putting a
Kathleen
list
came
together.
in,
I agree.
please step up.
Belt and
We were just
suspenders,
talking
sure.
about- There was some discussion at the public not at the public hearing, but in the public comment portion about some language in the legislative intent that's in the resolution for the adoption of the pattern book. So I thought just to keep everybody on an even keel, we might want to rethink just that one portion of a sentence, but if that's problematic.
According to municipal home rule law, when you're adopting a local law, it must be in its final form on the legislators' desks for 7 days, excluding Sundays and holidays. So typically, I like to have at least 10 days built in there to be on the safe side. Legally, you really should have it in its final form for 7 days before you adopt or make changes.
But can I just ask a question? I mean, the legislative intent contains language. I believe the idea of access to good ground is sort of on the periphery of what the actual pattern book is trying to achieve, which is much more holistic in terms of the revitalization and providing guidance in terms of that revitalization. This particular language change, in my opinion, that the supervisor is requesting doesn't really change the adoption of the pattern book, which is, I think, a much more macro encapsulation of revitalization, a guide toward revitalization for the Hampton Bays
Sure.
downtown.
No, I appreciate.
Isn't there something that says if it's not a significant change, then you don't need to?
If it's not substantive,
Like a Scrivener's error.
Yeah, if it's not substantive. In my experience, we've always characterized non-substantive as Scrivener's errors. Because you want to give your colleagues the opportunity to be able to speak about and vote on exactly what is going to be adopted. And you have to, the law asks you to give them that time frame in order to do that.
Well, let me ask you one more thing then. Is the legislative intent in any way binding on the result? So could somebody say, well, it was in the legislative intent, so now you really should have the road entered, driving into the park?
So I don't have it in front of me. Sometimes the legislative intent is actually published. I don't know if it's underlined in this scenario. If it's not underlined, arguably, it's just not my recommendation to change it. It's the legislative intent is supposed to be guiding that which you are adopting, right? And if you don't agree with it, you should change it, but you need to do that
We should hold
in
on
an
to
appropriate time frame.
Delay it again.
Yeah.
Like I said, if we weren't just basically told we were going to be sued, I would say change it. But
You don't have to renotice it. You just have to. You might recall. Oftentimes, I will circulate a memo, and you will see in my cover page on the memo exactly what the change is, and then that just has to be laid on your desks for 7 days, and then you can adopt the very next opportunity to do so. So I'm not sure if there's other time frames that are pressing in terms of adopting this, but if there's an opportunity to do it a little more thoroughly and accurately, I would recommend that.
I think we have. We've been working on this and making changes for
I agree.
what seems like weeks, through the summer, and now, it's October, and I think we are okay here. I would favor passing it the way
I would as well.
it stands.
I think we've made substantial changes to the pattern book itself through the process, and I have a feeling if we change this, someone's going to come to the next meeting and say they don't like this or that or the other thing, and it's just we're going down this line of, like I said, as legislators, it's our duty to basically say, are we okay with the pattern book? Are we okay with its intent? If we are, then I think we should move forward.
Yeah, and I think we're good with the pattern book itself. This was just this language in the resolution that's providing for its adoption that was a little problematic for me in terms of but I know it's reciting what's in the corridor plan, which is already a document that's in existence, so changing this wouldn't change that.
Not familiar if the patent book itself makes reference to the access to.
And we removed all of that from
Right.
the pattern book. We removed even the pictures of that in the pattern book.
Yeah.
And like you said, removing it from here doesn't remove it from that document. It's still in that document.
And this paragraph clearly refers to walkability. I mean, it says it walkability, walkable, like 6 times, subsequent to what you're saying here. So, I mean, I believe that the intent is to provide a walkable downtown area in Hampton Bays.
For the record.
And connecting the park.
For the record,
Walking.
I'm agreeing with Councilman Stevens.
Well, all right, we'll read
Not
it.
the first time.
We'll read it we're interpreting it that access into the park is walkable access. Okay.
Make note of that in the minutes for future consideration.
On what subject? On the green or the pair? Or both?
All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town Board Resolution ID 2024-1181 to authorize Peconic Bay Region CPF tax refund pursuant to the first-time homebuyer's exemption for Victor Martinez and Nimsi Solis D. Martinez.
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was co-sponsored with Council Members Scavone, Isilli, and Powell. All in favor?
Aye.
Did you all have something to do with that?
Town Board Resolution 1182 of 2024 authorizes the supervisor to sign documents for the transfer of sanitary flow credits as it relates to the Star Aquatic Project located at 344 McGee Street, Tuckahoe. And it's co-sponsored with Supervisor Moore.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 1183 of 2024, I am going to withdraw. They have received a grant to cover the fees. So
Wow.
Oh, that's nice.
Wow.
It's $525.
Very nice.
Okay,
It's not that exciting.
Oh.
Town Board Resolution 2024-1184, the 2024 part-time salaries.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-1185 to adopt the 2024 standard workday and reporting resolution for elected appointed officials.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-1186, co-sponsored with Councilman Powell, to accept the retirement of Deborah Keller, website manager in the Citizens Response Center.
Second, and we're gonna miss her. She
Yes.
did a wonderful job while
All
she
in
was there.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, and I agree that she's, I think it was almost 16 years that
16 years.
Congratulations, Deborah.
Deborah was here, and she served in the town clerk's office, town council's office.
Thank you, Deborah.
Yeah.
She was digitizing those books that Henry Moeller wanted to get going on.
Yeah.
Back in 2006, 7.
So we wish her all the best in the
Yes,
next step in her
absolutely.
career, and thank you for her service. Town Board Resolution 2024-1187 to appoint Alyssa Robinson to engineering aid in municipal works.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-1188 to terminate an employee in police communications.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2024-1189 to appoint Thomas Crime Board to Public Safety Dispatcher 1 in the Police Department.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 1190.
Oh.
We did it.
No, we have. Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry.
Yeah, that was moved.
My B.
See, I was like going with the flow.
No, you were good. You were good.
Town Board Resolution 1191 of 2024, notice of public hearing to consider amending Town Code Chapter 312, Vehicles and Traffic, amending and adding parking prohibited in designated locations regulations on a portion of County Road 80, Montauk Highway, East Point.
Second.
Thank you for following up on that,
Yes.
Councilwoman McNamara. All in favor?
Aye.
And then the walk-on is Town Board Resolution ID number 47703 to accept the warrant number 19.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, well now, no one else has anything else I'd like to
Executive session.
discussion, I'd like to, I move to adjourn into executive session for confidential legal advice and then to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.